AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. I'm Matt.
Hey, Will. Hey, bud.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Musu. And Mr. Toby Tom Blake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. We head out to California where we're joined by Ross Jackson. How are you, dude?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
It's our pleasure. Did anybody get DDT'd today? Maybe the flying elbow, the leg drop, the people's elbow, anything like that today?
No, I went out ready to fight today, but nothing happened. Nobody stepped to me. There was nothing available. It was just a nice little walkthrough. Everything was nice and calm for the Saints today. So no continuation of the absolute Royal Rumble that took place yesterday.
That was crazy. Like, why do you even bother with these stupid joint practices when all that happens, people get hurt and fight? That's all that happens. Like, is there a benefit?
I'll tell you what. The benefit is Matt, I don't know how many friends you have that you've gotten in fights alongside, but like typically you become really close with those guys.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's a little bit of something there in terms of the camaraderie
Maybe so.
and the chemistry and the team building that comes with it.
Okay.
But I will say that what Kellen Moore and Brian Schottenheimer did really well is that in between all of the squabbles, the football work that did get done was really good.
Okay, let's talk about what was. We'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about the headline, which is Alvin Kamara. A day after we learn about Jordan Tyson out for 2 months, Kamara is going to be out for a month. Okay, reaction, what does this mean for the Saints offense?
Yeah, I mean, look, it stinks for them when they get to the regular season because obviously they were very much working towards this idea of a tandem running back room that was led by Travis Etienne Jr. and Alvin Kamara. Now that's going to possibly have to wait if he were to miss week 1. I mean, if we look at a month from yesterday, you're looking at beyond week 1 at that point. But the positive side of it is that you do still get him early on in the season. And so, I mean, there's that piece to it. The other thing is that this does give you now an opportunity to really figure out what you're going to do with the rest of that running back room. It seemed like it was getting clearer and clearer as Kendre Miller and Devin Neal remained sidelined. And Audric Estime was, producing well and had a really strong preseason game up until he caught that hit in the flats. And then he had to leave the game himself, and now he's dealing with his own injury. But, as they get Kendre Miller and Devin Neal back, at least this gives you an opportunity to see those guys in a flow with Travis Etienne Jr. and really make sure you're making the right decision in the running back room. You just hate that the way that, that shouldn't be a thing, though, right? Like, it shouldn't be, there's an injury, so now you get to see this. Ideally, all of that's coming together with all these guys on the field. So there's not really like a real silver lining to all of it. The bottom line is that it stinks, and the Saints are battered and broken and injured again throughout training camp. And so it kind of is what it is at this point for New Orleans. But the I guess the good piece to all of this is that, guys like Kendre Miller and Devin Neal, who just came back from injury yesterday, now get a lot of extra work.
Are they set at running back with the guys they have there that are healthy, or do they need to go try out a few players and bring in a body?
I don't think that they need to really hit the open market at running back. There's not really a lot of those guys available that are going to step in at this point and be difference makers for you anyway. And I don't know that any person that you can pull off of free agency right now is going to be of greater value to you than the guys that have been in the system for a year, Kendre Miller, Devin Neal, Audric Estime. And so I think that they're probably in good shape. I think the addition of Ty Chandler was a good addition, too, because you do get an experienced running back that way and somebody that is going to have a big special teams role, which if you're going to be the third or fourth running back on a roster, you have to be able to contribute on special teams. So I do think that they do have guys in the building. But look, I don't think there's any reason to shy away from the idea that going into the offseason next season, running back's going to be a position of need again for them as they go through. And I think that was going to be the case one way or another if this is going to be Alvin Kamara's last year. But I think after this, it just kind of drives the point home.
Ross Jackson, at Ross Jackson NOLA is where you can get him. Of course, you can read him over at LouisianaSports.net. Listener watch, Locked On Saints. Okay, they did, however, work out a couple of wide receivers with Chase Claypool and Josh Reynolds. Give me a sense here, Ross, of what we should make of this. Just camp bodies, or these guys that might actually have a shot of making the team?
Yeah, I think any wide receiver that you bring in at this point is going to have a really hard time making the team.
Okay.
I think these are guys that are coming in, so you have the numbers that you need, and then you give them the opportunity to convince you otherwise, right? Like, you listen if the performance tells you that this is a player that deserves to be on your roster, so it's no disrespect to those players that could potentially be signed that, that they come in and are kind of just looked at as guys to help out during camp, but then, they have the opportunity to prove otherwise. But I think with a draft class of 3 wide receivers, one of which is a candidate to start an injured reserve in Jordan Tyson, you still have 2 guys in Bryce Lance and Barryon Brown behind Chris Olave and Devon Bailey that you feel really good about. And then you have a lot of guys that have experience in your system. This wide receiver group loves Kevin Austin Jr. This coaching staff loves Kevin Austin Jr. Bub Means is having the performance of a lifetime right now. And you've got other guys like Ronnie Bell and others and Palmer who have made some nice strides in recent weeks. And so I think you probably have the guys in the building right now that are going to end up on your active roster. But maybe you bring in somebody for training camp and they convince you to stick around on the practice squad. And then all of a sudden you've got more depth at the position or something to that effect. I think for the most part, though, the guys that are going to make up the active roster going into the season are probably already on.
Okay. A couple more for you. What did they do today?
Today was a walkthrough, so it was mostly just to focus on the logistics of what's going to happen on Saturday, or not even really the logistics of what's going to happen on Saturday, but just like cleanly getting in and out of plays, the focus on the precision of the routes, things like that, precision on the defensive side, calls, checks, all that kind of stuff. So it was just a little bit of a walkthrough, very slow pace, 1 hour of work, because they had the joint practice that was obviously very physical yesterday. And then now they're going into the joint practice tomorrow against the Rams, which they hope is physical, but maybe not as physical as the Cowboys one was. And so you kind of have this light day in between to kind of help them get ready for the joint practice tomorrow.
Hey, Ross.
Yeah.
Are you on the PCH taking it up to the 10, down to the 40?
Listen, dude. Listen, bro. Listen, dude. I'm on the 101, my guy.
Cruising down the 101. California, here we come. I knew the reason that we were on speaker is because that California Highway Patrol catch you with a phone on your ear, brother. They are throwing you under the jail.
I'm not coming home. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. I would again be both the permanent resident and property of the state of California.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. All right. Anything else that we should know before tomorrow's joint practice?
I think right now one of the other positions to keep an eye out on is going to be cornerback for this team. Obviously, Quincy Riley's entrenched. He's the starting guy there. But I'm sorry, Kool-Aid McKinstry. And Quincy Riley came in as the starter, but right now is dealing with his own injury. He's got a groin injury. He left practice early yesterday against the Cowboys. And so now you're going to really be testing this depth of the cornerback room, which has been a big conversation all offseason. It's an experienced line of depth, but, the question mark about, okay, what happens if you have to call upon one of these guys is about to be answered. So I would expect, even with the institutional experience and knowledge that Isaac Yiadom has, and that the Saints have of Isaac Yiadom, that maybe Martin Emerson Jr. could potentially be the guy that jumps into the starting lineup or the first team opposite Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think both will probably get practice reps, but I'll be very curious to see if Martin Emerson is the guy that does that. He was a late add for the Saints in free agency, and he's a guy that really has impressed here recently. Had like 4 pass breakups and an interception in practice last week at one point, and had really strong game in the preseason as well. So Martin Emerson Jr., number 22, is definitely going to be somebody to keep an eye out on during these joint practices, and then potentially if he hits the field as well against the Rams in the preseason on Saturday.
He is Ross Jackson. You can read stuff over at louisianasports.net. Listen or watch Locked on Saints podcast, YouTube, and of course, he's at Ross Jackson NOLA. Thank you, man.
Thank you, bud. Take care. Stay safe. Talk to you guys soon.
You be safe driving down the PCH. Oh,
I'm in on the 101.
There's crazy Californians out there, man. Thanks, dude. We'll see you. All right. That's Ross Jackson. We're brought to you by Shaw Bills. Of course, if you're cruising down the PCH to the 1 to hop on the 2 to the 10, you got to have good tires. If you're not familiar, it's a skit called The Californians from Saturday Night Live. If you've never seen it, just go to YouTube, type in The Californians, SNL, and you'll get it. Shaw Bills, Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. Locations all over South Louisiana, name brand tires at wholesale prices. If you're crazy and you're driving your vehicle out to California, you better have new tires. You better make sure the oil's changed. You better make sure the alignment's good. You better make sure that thing's running tip-top shape. Bring it to Shaw Bills. They're going to treat you like family. They'll sell you the best tires on the road at the cheapest price. They'll keep you coming back because they treat you like family. It's Shaw Bills. Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, where we keep you rolling. All right, thanks to Ross for hanging out with us here. The big story of the day, if you have not heard, Pete Nakos was the first to have it earlier today, that 16 players, some who have NFL experience, have been granted a TRO, a temporary restraining order, in their eligibility case against the NCAA. One of them being former LSU edge rusher Jack Pyburn. So Jack Pyburn could potentially have the opportunity to return to college football. Again, we'll fill you in on some of these details. If you haven't heard the latest, we'll get you caught up. There's a story up at louisianasports.net. By the way, written by our newest contributor and our editor, William Weather. So William, longtime sports writer in the state of Louisiana, joined our team over at louisianasports.net literally yesterday, signed the paperwork, and today his first story is about Jack Pyburn. I think it's going to do pretty well, pretty big numbers there. So anyway, we're welcome. We're glad to have William Weathers on our team, and you'll be able to follow along with William's writing as well over at louisianasports.net. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll continue on AFR.
After further review.
GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com. Complete employer solutions, that's Glow Resources. Again, GLO, glowresources.com. And, I say it all the time that while home base is right there on Perkins near Pennington's, Perkins and Quail Oak, that's where their corporate office is. They literally help businesses all over the country fill all different types of jobs. There's a company in Florence, South Carolina that needs a carpenter. There's a company in Houston that needs a process improvement engineer. There's a company that in Sanford, North Carolina that needs an excavator operator. And then there's a convenience store supervisor in Gonzales. There's a combo welder fitter in Darrow. You understand the point. All over the country, all different types of jobs, skilled blue-collar labor, any type of office job in their professional placement division. If you need the right people, you need Glow Resources.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
All right, I'm going to try to do this. I got a text from Drex who said, I wish someone could explain to me the eligibility rules like I'm 5 years old because I thought he couldn't come back at all, meaning Jack Pyburn. Okay, I'm going to try to do this like you're 5 years old. Okay, you know how you just finished preschool and had to go to kindergarten? Well, when you go to kindergarten, you can't go back to preschool. Well, the preschool changed their rules, and now you can go back to preschool for another year. But there's some people who don't think you should be able to go back to preschool for another year. So they're trying to decide right now who wins, the ones that want you to or the ones that don't want you to go back to preschool. But the person that wants you to be able to go back to preschool just said it's okay. What do you think?
It's a good analogy, yeah. Yeah, it about sums it up.
Okay, that's like your 5. Let me try to go with a little more nuance, okay? Because I think we could probably graduate a little beyond that comparison. Okay. I'm going to try to... This is complex. And there is a lot of ambiguity. So I am very sympathetic to that. And I have a really good grasp of what is happening, like where we are, but I don't know what is going to happen. But I know there's 2 things we're watching. So let me go back and I'll try to explain. If you're not sure what we're talking about, today 16 former college football players were granted a TRO, a temporary restraining order, which allowed them to come back to college football. One of them is Jack Pyburn. It's complicated because Pyburn's playing for the Bucs right now, and he took money as a signing bonus, and the NCAA said that's a no-no. So let me go back, and I'll catch you up. So the NCAA recently approved their 5-for-5 policy. And please stop me. I'm dead serious. Please stop me if at some point this doesn't make sense. Okay? So the NCAA approved their 5-for-5 policy. There are no more red shirts. There's no more medicals. There's no more exceptions. Like, there's no more COVID years. Like, everybody, you have 5 years to play 5 years. From the time you graduate high school or when you turn 18. 5 to play 5. That's it for everybody. And so you don't have to worry about, well, he played the maximum of 4 games. Or no. Everybody gets 5 to play 5. But that doesn't start until this year. Some have argued that the seniors that just graduated should get that 5th year. A judge in Colorado agreed and gave a blanket waiver to all the kids who were the signees from the class of 2022 who had eligibility remaining. So if you redshirted if you have eligibility remaining, you have that 5th year, you can come back. So the 2022 players who aren't like already in like Kelvin Banks, for example, the Saints left tackle. Kelvin Banks is the left tackle for the Saints. He was a 2022 kid. Like, he's not leaving the Saints coming back, okay? But Jack Pyburn played his 4 seasons of college, went undrafted. He's in camp with the Bucs. Well, Jack got a TRO, a temporary restraining order, to be able to come back. Now, it's complex. I'll get to that in a second. So all of the 2022 players who played 4 years, were out of eligibility, were basically told, all right, by this judge in Colorado, blanket waiver, you can all come back. The NCAA said, no. They can't all come back. Because if there are players who took money or played pro or violate whatever of our rules, like, they can't come back. So the NCAA is appealing that ruling, trying to say, no, those players cannot come back. But a lot of them who weren't in the NFL, who weren't playing professionally, they're already with their teams. You've seen some of the stories. Arizona brought back 2 starters, like their running back. Indiana's brought back a couple of starters. Georgia added a guy. Mississippi State's added some guys. Like, this is something that's happening. Like, a lot of players who thought their careers were over because they played 4 years of college, they get this injunction from the judge in Colorado, and they're like, okay, I can play. And so they're practicing right now, getting ready for a season. Well, there's other players like Pyburn who it's a little more ambiguous. So what's going to happen from now until the start of the season, 2 things to keep an eye on. We really don't know the time frame or timetable that's going to happen. So this TRO would allow Jack Pyburn, if he wanted to, he could leave because of this temporary restraining order. He could leave Tampa Bay right now and come back and play at LSU today. He could. Same like with Charles Bediako. Remember the Alabama basketball player who was in the G League and then went back to Bama and played like 5 games? He got a TRO. He got a temporary restraining order. And while played under that TRO, well, the NCAA said, oh, no. The NCAA appealed and won. And so Charles Bediako had to leave. That's effectively what's happening right now. Pyburn is one of 16 players today that got a TRO. So he could join LSU today. Now he's not going to because he's playing for the Tampa Bay Bucks. He had 2 sacks on Friday against the Jets. So what we're waiting on right now is the NCAA's appeal to be heard. Like the NCAA won its appeal against Charles Bediako. The NCAA won their appeal against Joey Aguilar. That's why Joey Aguilar is in the NFL right now. The NCAA lost its appeal against Trinidad Chambliss, which is why Chambliss is playing for Ole Miss. So what we don't know, like the NCAA is appealing this judge in Colorado's ruling. If the NCAA wins the appeal, then all of these players who currently have eligibility because of the judge in California or in Colorado, if the NCAA wins their appeal, then these players are out. They're done. If the NCAA loses its appeal, then all these players can play in 2025 and here in the 2026 season. The next obvious question is, okay, when's the appeal? I don't know. Like, the court system can be notoriously slow. Like, how quickly can this appeal be heard? I don't know. But the dates to keep in mind, one is in 11 days, August the 30th. That's cut day in the NFL. It used to be that they would cut the roster after each preseason game. Now they have one cut day. It's August the 30th. So on August the 30th, every team is going to cut their roster to 53. And so there will be a gigantic pile of players who get cut by their NFL team that are going to look, okay, can I go back to school and play and get paid? Well, it depends if this appeal is heard in time or not, or when the appeal is heard. So that's really the two things. One date we know, which is the cut day in the NFL. The other is when is the NCAA's appeal going to be heard? And I don't know the answer. None of us do. But until that appeal is heard, all these players today were basically said, yeah, you can go play. So let's say the appeal isn't heard until December, which I don't think will happen, but because maybe they fast track it, like they did with Bediako and some of the others. But what if the appeal isn't heard until December and Jack Pyburn gets cut by the Bucks? Theory, he could come back and play for LSU with this TRO. Now, the other part that is really complicated is when the judge in Colorado issued her ruling, there was a clarification afterwards that said you still have to abide by NCAA rule. And NCAA rule says you can't accept money. Well, Jack Pyburn's accepted money. So it makes this even more ambiguous as to whether or not he would actually be able to win an appeal. So it's complex. But what I do know is if you're looking at position groups that would make sense for LSU to add players, a player or players, the defensive line is at the top. That is my single biggest concern on this team. Like, you've got 2 guys in Prince Umanmielen and Jordan Ross. And look, Ross hasn't been out there the last 2 practices. But Umanmielen is a proven SEC player. He's a 5th-year player who led Ole Miss in sacks and TFLs last year. He's a proven SEC commodity. Jordan Ross was a top 10 recruit, but he's been a backup for 2 years at Tennessee. After that, it's Dylan Carpenter, who's in his 4th year and has only been a special teamer, and a true freshman in Lamar Brown. Gabe Relaford's done for the year. Basically, the only player at that position, with skins on the wall is Umanmielen. Ross ain't done nothing, although he's got a huge ceiling. Lamar Brown, huge ceiling, but a true freshman. Dylan Carpenter, his 4th year in the program, but has been limited to special teams. You've got Kalaj Cobbins, and you got young guys like Trenton Henderson. I mean, you just don't have any skins on the wall at that position outside of Uman Mielen. So if you could add Jack Pyburn, who played 4 years of college football, at 3 at Florida and 1 at LSU, of course. I mean, that makes you instantly better at maybe your thinnest position. I mean, look, they just moved Jaden Breaker from linebacker to edge to have another body over there to give him that skill set. Blake Baker talked about that position on Friday.
I think I've seen a lot of growth out of some guys, really from, when you look at Jordan Ross, when you look at P. Will, they just got here in the spring, how much they've already grown. Dylan Carpenter is a guy that, he's absolutely been outstanding. When you talk about where he came in as a freshman to where he is now, you don't see that much anymore because a lot of times they'll leave before that. But, man, I can't be more complimentary of him and Lamar Brown. And we, Kalaj Cobbins is another guy. So I feel good about our depth. I think we have some really good explosion off the edge as well. And they're all complementary of each other. Some guys have really good strengths in one area compared to another. So we're going to be able to play around with those weapons.
You can talk about growth and development, excitement for all those guys, but again, you're talking about a lot of unknown. Pyburn would add immediately a known commodity at that position, who, by the way, we saw last year play both edge and kick inside and play tackle, who's very good against the run, gives you another veteran physical body. It would be huge. That would be huge if you could add a player like Jack Pyburn at that position. Daquan Wright is one of those players as well, the tight end from Ole Miss who had over 600 receiving yards. And you have Trey'Dez Green, who's a preseason All-American. After Trey'Dez Green, again, it's similar. Like, you don't have depth. I mean, Malachi Thomas spent 2 years at Pitt, and he caught, hang on, I'm going to tell you the exact number right now. I'm going to do this on the fly. But Malachi Thomas last year at Pitt caught 13 passes for 192 yards. And he didn't record a statistic in 2024. So in 2 years, he's caught 13 passes. And then you got a freshman in J.C. Anderson. Zach Grace is the fourth-year player coming in from Oregon. But remember, he did not record a statistic a year ago. He is an H-back. He's a blocker. I mean, you had Daquan Wright. That's another weapon in the offense who knows the offense. I mean, think about the plug and play, how Winnie Watkins was plug and play in the spring. Daquan Wright would be the same. So, I mean, this could be just massive. I mean, this could be extremely significant if this all comes to pass. So we still have to wait on the NCAA's appeal to be heard, and we don't have a court date set for that yet. But when that happens, this was a big step in moving in that direction. Pete Nakos earlier today had it was this morning. I'm trying to get you. Forgive me. It was this morning. I'm looking for the tweet. Here, this was it. Said NFL cut day is Sunday, August 30th, days before the start of week 1 of college football. The NCAA is still waiting on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit to rule on its stay in the Wisney, Colorado suit. So we're waiting on that ruling. The 10th Circuit, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit to rule on the NCAA's appeal. All right, it's after. I hope that helped. Did I do a good job of that? I don't need validation, but did that make sense?
Yeah, no, as much sense as it can make.
Okay. Like I understand, and I know I need a break, but it's, when I tell you, I have bothered every damn body in that football building who might have something to do with this to try to get information about who they're scouting, who they're looking at, who would be position groups, could it happen? And it's just, I know this much. This is what I can tell you definitively. That player personnel staff has looked at every damn body. Everybody who could potentially have eligibility, they have a list together and a scouting. I know that much. And they ain't saying a word about who they're interested in or what direction they may take this. But if that door is opened, Yeah, I think LSU will add a player or players. All right, it's AFR.
After further review.
Hump Day shows are brought to you by Goodwood, Men's Sexual Wellness, yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. Remember, ED treatment, hormone replacement therapy, peptides, they do it all. If you want to live your best, most optimal life, friends over at Goodwood can help. Lowest prices, never any contracts. Let me say it again. Lowest prices, never any contracts. Maybe you're already on hormone replacement therapy. Great. I have been for years as well. It's life-changing. I can't imagine an aging male not going to get your levels checked to see if you could live a fuller, more vital, happier life with more energy, mental clarity, higher, better libido, build muscle, burn fat, like all the things, clear brain fog, sleep better at night, all those things. If you're already on HRT and you're not with Goodwood, you're probably overpaying. There's no contracts. There's no membership fees. They pick up the cost on your blood labs every 6 months. What are you waiting on? yourgoodwood.com.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Nathan Board on the text line said they give you apple juice in preschool. Is Musso trying to get another year of eligibility?
I would love another year of eligibility. I would love that. I'd love another year of eligibility.
You want to go back to preschool?
Why not,
You
dude?
want to hang out with 4-year-olds?
I don't necessarily want to hang out with them, but I mean,
That's what you would be doing in preschool. You'd be hanging out with 4-year-olds.
color all day, take a nap.
I don't think you realize how loud they are, and some of them are not potty trained.
I was in preschool once. I don't remember much of it,
That's
though.
the point. You don't remember it. My mom taught preschool for a while, and so as a school age kid, I remember like 8th grade, going to the preschool like after school, walking over to the preschool. Your mom would drive us home, seeing the kids and being like, "Wow, this is a terror." God bless the people who run preschool. Andy said, Matt, where I'm confused, how does the NCAA have any say on eligibility in D1 football? They don't govern the championship. The championship is put on by the College Football Playoff, a non-NCAA entity. Correct, Andy. The NCAA doesn't govern the championship. They do, however, govern the sport up until the championship, which is why college football is stupid. I love college football, but I can objectively say that is stupid. But yes, remember, the NCAA is the governing body for college football. Like, they are the ones they are the enforcement arm. They set and enforce the rules that are collectively agreed upon by the membership. And then whenever they get to the postseason, college football collectively outsources its postseason. But things like eligibility, all of the member institutions agree to be governed by the NCAA. It's the thing that I've sat here and railed on during this whole era with all this stuff, is everyone complains that it's lawless, it's the Wild Wild West, there's no rules. No. There are rules, you just don't want to follow them. And then you bitch when everybody doesn't follow the rules. Well, follow the rules. One of my most, strongest points of contention through this whole thing has been the adults in the room, the university presidents have the solution. You've got an NCAA rule book right there. Collectively agree and say, you're not going to sue the NCAA for eligibility. They ruled you ineligible. We agree to be an NCAA member institution. We agree to abide by their rule book. They ruled you're ineligible. Get your ass to the pros. Good luck. But they don't do that because they want to win. And so they're willing to break every rule and let a judge determine. Ole Miss Trinidad Chambliss. LSU Jack Pyburn if he comes back. LSU RJ Lewis. Everybody's doing it. Yeah, they are. Don't bitch about not having rules, because there's rules. You just don't want to follow. What if he comes back and plays for, this from Richard, What if he comes back, plays for LSU, but the NCAA wins an appeal mid-season? Does LSU have to forfeit the games he plays in? Good question, Richard. No, I actually did ask. I forget who. It was one of the attorneys we had on the show because I asked that very question. Who was it? It had to be Jeff. It was probably Jeff Watson at Gordon's office that we talked to. Anyway, the point is, with that ruling, is I hope I'm saying this right. The TRO or the injunction does not allow the entity, in this case the NCAA, to be punitive against a student athlete. So otherwise, what's the point of going to court? So they would not be allowed to punish the school for playing the student athlete while they had the injunction. I asked the same question. See if I can get to maybe one or two more here. Oh, this is actually a football question. You always text me, 225-396-4400, 396-4400. Kyle said, Matt, what's the week one wide receiver depth chart look like if you had to decide today? I appreciate the football question, Kyle. Thank you. I'll tell you that in a second. Let me remind you about the Williamson Eye Center. WilliamsonEye.com, WilliamsonEye.com. You want to see 2020, call 924-2020 for the Williamson Eye Center. Dr. Blake Williamson, he's the best, not my opinion, quite literally. It's why he flies all over the world to lecture and put on conferences and things like that, because he brings first-of-their-kind procedures in the world to Baton Rouge. Dr. Blake went and got a world-class education in New York, I think at Johns Hopkins. It was in London, and went all over the world. Got this world-class education and came back home to Baton Rouge. And so if you want options beyond just LASIK, they've got them at the Williamson Eye Center. You want to see 2020, call 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com, WilliamsonEye.com. Chris said, does he have to go to LSU or can he go to any school? He can go to any school. That's what the judge in Colorado said, was they could come back to college and go to any school. So, I'm sorry, that was the judge in Georgia who said that. So, in theory, you could go anywhere. We did a story today where there was an all Ivy League player from Dartmouth who's going to Arkansas under this new thing. But think of it this way. Let me just use Jack Pyburn. I'll answer the receiver question in a second. If you're Jack Pyburn, and let's say hypothetically Jack gets cut by the Bucs on August 30th, that's 6 days before LSU plays Clemson. Now he's in football shape, right? Where are you going to go and get up to speed in 6 days? You played in this defense last year. Same coaches, same terminology, same everything. Like, you could just come right back in seamlessly. All right, the question about the receivers. I think we have very clearly seen the line of demarcation with the receiver room. Jackson Harris from Hawaii, Winnie Watkins from Ole Miss, and then Malik Elzy and Jace Brown, I think, are battling for one of those spots. I think they both play. And don't be surprised if Elzy takes the first snap if you want a bigger-bodied receiver on the field. And then Trey Wilson, the former five-star from Florida, he just has this explosive ability. Just those are your five. Remember, Lane said he wants 4 to 6 receivers to emerge. They brought in 9 transfers, 3 freshmen. You retained Phillip Wright. So you got 13 scholarship receivers. Of those 13, Lane wants 4 to 6 that he feels like he can rotate. Well, it's Harris, Watkins, Brown, Elzy, and Jace Brown, Elzy, and Trey Wilson. And then Trey Dez on top of that. So those will be the 6 that are your primary pass catchers this year. Okay, it is after further review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. Hump Day Edition brought to you by our friends over at Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Jimmy's going to be here for Otter Locks in just a quick second. Kyle said if LSU has a Heisman finalist, does Jaden Daniels narrate the hype video? I am hopeful that Jaden Daniels and LSU reconcile. He's one of the greatest players in program history. They need to get on the same accord, and Jaden needs to apologize, and we all need to proceed with good vibes and honoring Jaden rightly as one of the greatest players in the history of the program. Otterlocks is next.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. I tell you, every day, buy local, shop local, bypass the big box store, and support a great local business that not only supports our show, but that has supported the community for 6 decades. It's Clegg's Nursery. Y'all, they got full greenhouses. So you want these? I mean, I'm looking at the photos that and every time they get new shipments in, they post on Facebook. So you can always see what they have in posting on Facebook. Like, just go to their Facebook page and you'll see these enormous, full, beautiful, lush greenhouses filled with so many options to beautify your outdoor spaces. And remember also, if you're a hunter, they have buckbusters, mow bucks, and deer corn all in right now at all 4 Clegg's Nursery locations. It's Clegg's Nursery. I love eating at Supper Club, and I love everything at Supper Club. It's one of those rare places where you could quite literally order anything on the menu and have the best version of that you've ever had in your life. The bluefin tuna poke is my favorite cold appetizer. It's diced bluefin tuna, an Asian pear. It's marinated for 1 to 2 hours in a sesame soy honey and furikake seasoning. It's served on a bed of diced avocado with crispy wontons. I'm telling you, when that sets the tone for the entire meal, and then comes the one-of-a-kind steak experience, the delectable sides, the incredible wine library, the great cocktails. Oh, yeah. And either the butter cake or the creme brulee that's as big as your torso that they come with a giant flamethrower to torch at tableside. Nothing better. SupperClubBTR.com.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on this Hump Day edition of AFR, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. One thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. It's time for Otterlocks.
Otterlocks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Yo, Otter, what up?
What's up, Matthew?
Just trying to explain to people if Jack Pyburn is going to be able to come back to college after playing in the NFL and why that might happen or not happen and weird stuff. Weird day. It's a weird day.
Never signed a contract, did he?
He did. He's playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now, and he took a signing bonus.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I know Indiana's got their top defensive lineman back from last year who was celebrating, got hurt and out for the playoffs, celebrating their Big Ten championship with the fans. So he's back. They're all good. And our boy Luis has got I think a favorable matchup with the Judge on Monday. We'll see how that goes in the first day of class on the basketball side. So I feel good about his chances of getting eligibility as well. And I'll take it. So
okay. I just get sick of people complaining about there being no rules when there's plenty of rules. Just nobody wants to follow them. They just go to court and sue. Don't bitch about there being no rules. There's rules. You just don't want to follow them.
In the NCAA is a little bit weak right now. So anyway, let's get to the baseball right now. They're underway in Camden Yards. We're going to go with Baltimore to bounce back against New York Yankees. One of your unsung heroes is pitching for the Yankees. I respect that. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game because the Yankees are struggling with the bats. But we're going to take Baltimore plus 108 in that one. Taking Chase Burns in the Cincinnati Reds. St. Louis minus 128. St. Louis has been hot, but the Cincinnati should even up this 4-game series. Burns has been phenomenal from out of Tennessee and Wake Forest, so just getting better and better. Milwaukee won 22-0 last night over Seattle with minus 110. A lot sharp action on Seattle, sort of the pride angle for them to step back a little bit and try and get back on track. But minus 110, no comparison in two lineups right now. Give us Milwaukee minus 110 at cheap price there. We're going to take a shot. We owe one run short of free tacos. We did hit the under on the losing night. The over last night in Coors Field. Colorado plus 180 against the Dodgers. Maybe way closer to first pitch. It should only get higher. Colorado plus the 180 with Kyle Freeland. And then the Anaheim Angels, Los Angeles Angels, Urania. We rode him last time. He won 7-0 last time out against the Houston Astros. And plus 142 against Houston. They beat him last night. First-time starter for the Astros tonight. Ethan Pecco. We're going to take the Angels plus 42. There's a couple of big dogs in there to close things out.
You got to get them early at the website. The Orioles are already up 1-0 on the Yanks in the bottom of the first. So that's at minus $1.79 now. The plays are the Orioles, the Reds, the Brewers, Rockies, and Angels. You can always get them for free over at LouisianaSports.net. Where are you tomorrow?
Original walk-ons, Randy McKay, Colucci time, Hanny, Matt, Delicano. The whole fam is there.
Must be football season. All right,
yes,
original walk-ons tomorrow and every day 11 to 1, live at lunch, Otter and Hanny. Thank you, Otter.
Good luck.
All right, man, we'll see you. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen and SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com. Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. We're getting on down the road. I'm about to walk out in the parking lot, hopping in my Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport. Jet black with them blacked out rims and black leather. Love it. Go find yours today at South Point Volkswagen. SouthPointVW.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? All right, it's going to do it for us here. Use Polly, thanks. Y'all have an awesome night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
We're getting on down the road. Remember, if you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Really, it's easy to emphasize the word first. Talk about they were first in agriculture. They've been doing that, helping Louisiana farmers buy land since 1916. Ben McDonald, the first pick of the MLB draft, his first call when he wanted to buy his hunting property in Mississippi was First South Farm Credit. By the way, did you see Ben's photo with the rattlesnake? Oh, my God. Woo! No, thank you. But you out there getting them deer plots ready, might run into a little slithery friend that's not so friendly. But you can only do it if you own that piece of land. And First South Farm Credit can make it happen. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com, FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. Thinking of buying land? Your first call should be to FirstSouthFarmCredit.com.